Hey Patrick.
Hey Mark, how you doing? How was your week?
Yeah, I'm all right. How's the week been? The week flew by once again, just like
Mm,
just like last time. Um, yeah, the main highlights of the week or lowlights, I would say that we had a little bit of market turmoil, of course, that
mhm,
was definitely noticeable in the portfolio. And for the rest, there was a really cool podcast that I like from Balaji with Tim Ferriss.
mhm,
And another thing that happened this week was that I I improved my little Twitter spreadsheet a little bit more with a
mm,
pair type, so you can just easily filter on, for instance, Solana stablecoin pairs, and you can see all the pairs instead of just the best one.
mm.
And
Cool.
how was yours?
Oh man, my week is my week flow by so fast. It's just like every day is the same right now. Just get up, brush your teeth, do a little bit of work, eat a little bit, go to the gym, and yeah, do a little bit of crypto, and yeah, nothing too fancy. Besides one small airdrop I got, but besides this, nothing too fancy.
Okay,
Um,
you brush your
do
teeth and then you eat afterwards.
no, it's I brush my teeth when I get up, and then I eat yeah, let's say for so I basically eat 2 times a day right now. I
Ah,
eat
okay,
once at about 3 p.m. at once at about 8 p.m. in the evening. So it's kind of intermittent fasting. It's not a 16/8 style. I don't know. Are you familiar with it in some way?
16/8 means like 16-hour fast and 8 hours between meals or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah. So I try to do it like 16/8, but sometimes it went to 24 zeros, so just 1 meal a day. But yeah,
Okay.
depends on the day. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's yeah,
Hmm.
possible to eat a little bit more, but yeah, that's usually my day right now.
Okay.
Do you have any portfolio challenge changes in your allocation?
Um, no, well, nothing major. I just noticed that like last week, I think, or the week before, I moved everything from Phantom to Solana, and this week I noticed I still had a little bit of left in
Hmm.
Phantom, so I just put it into a Taro
Hmm.
pool, just to
Hmm.
just to get at least some yield on it, even though it may
Hmm.
be not the highest yield, and just to keep my mind of it.
Hmm.
For the rest, no changes, man. Like, yeah, I have a lot of things locked. I still like the
Hmm.
positions that I have, so no need to make changes. Oh,
When you try,
sorry,
yeah,
one more
sorry,
thing
go
that
ahead.
does come to mind. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time, but I mentioned maybe swapping a little bit from Solana to BTC. Did I mention
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
in last podcast? So I
yeah.
did swap a little bit of my Solana into B2C. And also when I'm like harvesting my yield farms, I'm also right now claiming B2C. But yeah, of course, that's still
Hmm.
a tiny percentage of my allocation compared to, the total yield farm. But yeah.
Hmm. When you transitioned from Phantom to Solana, there are some assets on Phantom which are not available on Solana, right? Let's say ICE, for example, and Phantom itself. Is this true? And if so, how did you make the transition? What do you now hold that you didn't hold before?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, from what I understand, you can transfer any ERC20 um, from Ethereum to Solana, and it becomes like a wormhole version.
Hmm.
So I've noticed also in my yield farms that I've seen, for instance, wormhole. What's the token that you have the airdrop of? The big one, DYDX. I saw
Hmm.
wormhole DYDX on Solana, and
Ah.
even wormhole AVAX. I saw it. So I could technically transfer it from Phantom to Ethereum and then from Ethereum to Solana. And I
Hmm.
think there's also some bridges I've seen, but I haven't used them yet, that go straight between Phantom and Solana, but I haven't tried them yet.
Hmm.
So you could definitely, how do you call it? Yeah, get your assets from Phantom to Solana. But what I did is I first converted it all into wrapped ETH, all my
Hmm.
stuff on Phantom, and then I used the Spooky Swap bridge, which is like kind of like an AnySwap bridge under the hood, but they have just
Oh, interesting.
it is custom built for Phantom so that you cannot screw up by putting in the wrong token
Mm,
or
no.
it's basically that. Although I do still think the fees are still a little bit high though, but so yeah, I put everything to ETH and then I transfer my ETH to Ethereum and then from Ethereum I uploaded it to FTX kind of, I send it to FTX and then from FTX I send it
Mm,
to Solana. I could have also done it directly from ETH to Solana, but with a
mm,
wormhole. But I feel more comfortable with the FTX route, and it may also be a
yeah,
little bit cheaper even.
yeah. Interesting, interesting. But it's wrapped ETH. It's not the pure ETH, right?
Correct, correct.
Mm. Yeah, just as a note, it's cheaper to transition with Ethereum than it is to transfer an ERC20 token. Did you know that?
From where to where? From
From basically everywhere to anywhere. Whatever you want to do, if you want to bridge something, it could be more wise to use ETH and not a wrapped ETH.
hmm
And whenever you make a transfer, it costs about 50% less in gas fees.
Okay, but if you want to bridge it, I don't think there is ETH. ETH doesn't exist on Phantom. It
Mm,
doesn't, it doesn't
mm,
allow it. So you only have
yeah.
wrapped ETH on Phantom. So
Mm,
I cannot just get ETH. And also, I think if you do it the other way around, if you transfer from Ethereum to Phantom and you do ETH, it may actually screw up because it doesn't exist on Phantom.
mm,
So this is why I didn't
mm.
want to risk it.
Yeah.
So
Okay, but
anything that happened to your personal allocation?
um, so a small one. So as you might know, I like airdrop hunting, and sometimes you do get lucky, right? And I got lucky again, and there was this Paraswap airdrop. You know Paraswap, right?
Yep.
For our listeners, Paraswap is basically an exchange. I think it's an exchange aggregator, a DEX aggregator, and you basically just as a really quick explainer, um, an aggregator basically takes a look at different DEXs and gives you the best route to go through. So you might save a couple of bucks. And they use this Paraswap in the last couple of months a couple of times, but not too much. And it's pretty interesting. So I got a really small airdrop because they invented, not the invention, but they implemented a point system. So back in the day when the first airdrop basically got around, which was the first big airdrop, so in quotes the first, was Uniswap, and then back then everyone got 400 Uni token when they just did a transaction, and it could even be a failed transaction. But with Paraswap it was quite different. So they are aware that there are airdrop hunters right now. They use multiple wallets and make just one transaction. So they implemented a point system. It was basically like the volume. If you do a specific volume, you get specific points. The amount of transactions and stuff like this. And yeah, I was able to claim a really small portion of this airdrop, but nothing too fancy. But the interesting part about it is that do you want to take a guess on how many wallets slash addresses interacted with Paraswap in order to game the system because they were speculating on the airdrop?
I think I read something that there were like initially like a million addresses that were eligible, and it got reduced down to 20,000 or something.
Yeah,
And you were
you're
one of the
pretty.
20,000.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're really lucky, man.
So
Yeah, I don't know
that's
how you manage to do these airdrops every time, but yeah, you do
yeah.
have a knack for it.
Yeah, so there were 1.6 million addresses, 1.6 million, and they boiled it down to 20K, just like you said. And yeah, for me, it was just like, and maybe that's the phase right now where the airdrop hunting space is getting more and more into. So if you want to do airdrop farming, I think you could do it with a small amount of money, but you will get a really, really small amount of airdrop back. Let's say you put in $100 into yield farm because you want to use it. You may get an airdrop for $3, but it's not even worth the time. So the more I think about airdrop hunting, I think the less and less lucrative it gets, and it gets more lucrative if you stick to protocols you really like and you really use. Because Paraswap, I made quite a lot of transactions because I needed them, because I it was just part of my routine. So I got rewarded for this, and yeah, it's just a thought right now in my mind that it could be a total waste of time to play the Age of Hunting game more and more. And yeah, but I'm not quite sure. This was the third airdrop in a row, which was basically um, defined to interactions and not just one interaction. So yeah, just a small trend I'm noticing right now.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely seems like people are getting more sophisticated, at least the protocols when it comes to airdrops and
yeah,
abusing airdrops. So yeah,
yeah.
but was it worth claiming the airdrop
Yeah,
compared to the gas fees?
yeah, it was, but really slim, and yeah. So this is a learning I got, and I need to iterate it more and more because I don't have high conviction into the Parasop airdrop, and so I basically told myself, okay, let's just wait and claim if it's cheaper in gas fees, and then I will sell because I have no conviction. But then I waited for 3 to 4 days, and over the next 3 to 4 days, it fell a lot, and so basically the gas cost I saved in comparison to waiting a little bit was like $30, but the value I lost was a couple of $100. So yeah, Patrick, just do it next time. So don't wait, don't do
Okay.
such thing. It's so stupid to wait. Just if you have no conviction, get rid of it, and don't speculate if it goes up or down. It's just yeah, mind space again.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe one day you get an airdrop as well, Mark, and then you see yourself sitting in front of a claim button which says, "Please claim myself for $300 in gas fees," and
Yeah.
then you think, okay, I might wait for $200, but Mark, please just do it and get rid of it because the depreciation in price might be worth multiples of this.
Yeah, you're right, Patrick.
Yeah. One day you will do it.
Yeah, one day I will get an airdrop.
Okay, dokie. Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything remarkable from last week? I do have two things. Do you have something to share?
Yeah, I've got a couple of tiny things that I would like to mention. So let's start with those.
Hmm.
So yeah, first of all, I mentioned that there was this podcast from Balaji Srinivasan with Tim Ferriss.
Hmm.
It was really long, like 5 hours, and I haven't even listened
Hmm.
to the whole thing because there's so much information and so dense, that I really want to
Hmm.
pay attention to when I listen to it. So I haven't, but
Interesting.
it is really it also goes a lot on crypto and about what the future will look like. So I definitely recommend it if you like Balaji's stuff at least, and yeah, I like all
Hmm.
his stuff. So for me, I'm a little bit biased.
Hmm.
Some other things that happened this week is that I subscribed to two new newsletters. One is called Doomberg, so instead of Bloomberg, it is Doomberg,
Uh, I
and
like it.
yeah, they have basically negative news every day about things that are going wrong with the world and stuff. So yeah, that was it's interesting to read about it. Like things that are happening with supply chains in Canada and all kinds of other things. Just
Hmm.
you know, like macroeconomic kind of things. And I also subscribe to a newsletter called Metaverses, and I think it
Hmm.
is made by a guy who joined Delphi Digital, or is it Delphi Capital or something, recently, and
Hmm.
he's one of their gaming slash metaverse
Ah.
specialists. So I think he's called Ryan, and yeah, I still need to read most of the things because there were already a lot of articles on there, of course, but
Hmm.
I definitely want to pay more attention to yeah, metaverses and especially play to earn.
Hmm.
And then some other two tiny things. First of all, Phantom Wallet. Now finally, when you look at your transaction, it goes to SolScan and not to the
Hmm.
horrible default Solana
Yeah.
thing that yeah, I can't make any sense of. Like even SolScan is for me like a lot more difficult than Etherscan or Polyscan or anything, like all of the EVM chains. But at
Hmm.
least somehow the formatting is a little bit better, and yeah, I get lost a little bit less, but I still get lost
Mm.
basically.
It's still so confusing in comparison to Etherscan and so.
Yeah, yeah. On Interscan, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on, but on
Yeah.
SolScan, it is so confusing.
Mm.
And a final little thing is that I came across this website called il.wtf,
Mm.
and you enter your address and it calculates your impermanent loss. And
Mm.
for me, it was pretty shocking just to see the amount. Just oh my God, like yeah,
Yeah.
it would be a huge percentage of my portfolio. So definitely watch out with impermanent loss and make sure that you make enough yield to make up for it.
Yeah, that's super interesting. The Metaverse newsletter,
Hmm.
is it in written word or is there also an audio or video version of it?
I think it is in written only,
Ah, okay.
but maybe
Uh,
I can give you some alpha if you want to have the audio like thing. You can
yeah,
have like
sure.
a plugin that converts text to audio. Just a
Ah,
free
okay.
plugin
What's it?
for. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Can give you the name later, but
Mm,
if you Google it, like I'm not sure if you use Firefox or Chrome or whatever, but
mm,
if you do some kind of if you Google that like text to speech or something, or
mm,
I think even like Foxit PDF, I think even they have some kind of plugin where you can
mm,
read your text. So that is one thing that I can recommend. And another thing that I can recommend, which I think is really awesome and underrated, is the website called Readsy, like to read,
mm.
readsy.co. And you just paste in any text, and it will like, yeah, it's hard to describe, but it will pop up a screen, and it will show like 300 words per minute, and you can just keep looking at the center of your screen and it will kind of read the text for you, but not in audio.
Wow.
But you just see all the words, like popping up like one by one by one by one, all the words
Ah,
quickly.
so speed reading, what do you
It's like,
mean?
yeah, it's like a speed reading technique, but then the website does the speed reading for you. So you just look at the one little
Ah,
box and the words pop up in that box. And you can read articles really, really so much faster if you do try
wow.
if you do and it's free, so it's pretty cool.
And you still understand the article, or is it just you understand, let's say, 20% and you make sense of the other 80% because you understand the 20%?
Well, yeah, it depends on how many words per minute you do and how much you focus on it. So if I want to understand just the gist of the article and some of the context, then yeah, I can definitely do it. Like, yeah, that I generally get it, even at high speed. So my high speed that I comfortably read at is like 400 words per second or per
Mm,
minute, and then I can still get the gist of the text. But if I just make it a little bit slower, like 300 or 350, I can
mm,
definitely get the whole text context.
mm,
Although there's still something special about just reading a page, uh, that you cannot get from this box. But yeah, basically any article, what you need to know, you can know if you use this. So
mm.
I would recommend you give it a try if you need to read a long text.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I will take a look at it for sure.
Sure. So what about you, Patrick? Anything remarkable happen?
Mm, yeah. So um, I read one pretty interesting article. I'm not fully done with it, but it's super interesting. So there are most likely, let's say, 0 to 5%, 0 to 5 people on this earth right now, I would guess, who know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, are, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Hmm.
And I read a super interesting article. The article is titled "I Know Who Satoshi Nakamoto Is," and it's about a 20-minute read. And yesterday I was on the bike at the gym, and after every workout, I go on the bike for 20 minutes, and I read it, and I thought, okay, 20-minute article, let's just skim through it. But it's so interesting. It's such an interesting research process he goes through, and that I don't want to spoil you or the listeners, but right now I'm halfway through it, and I think it could hold much truth. And yeah, it's super interesting. I might link it in the show notes for us if you are interested in it. It's called "I Know Who Satoshi Nakamoto Is," and a spoiler: Elon Musk is also a candidate in this article.
Okay, then it's not what I expected. Like, I do have actually an article sitting on my desk that I haven't read, but I printed it out for to read on my
Mm,
holidays. And it's they claim that it is some German guy who committed suicide, a while ago.
Hal Finney, you mean Hal
N
Finney or so?
no, a German guy,
No. Ah.
a German guy. So he knows Helfini, but it's not Helfini.
Mm,
And yeah, there are a couple of things that make it pretty
mm,
possible and plausible that this German guy. But
mm.
well, it's always very interesting to know
Yeah,
like the story behind Satoshi Nakamoto.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay, but besides this, there is just nothing remarkable this week. I think it was just a pretty normal week. If you take a look at the markets, it's just like traders do what they do. They trade, right? So, but I think there was nothing too spectacular happening this week. Like no ETF launch, no ETF rejection, no big company that onboarded, um, no new countries. So yeah, from my point, we can move on to the what excites us part if you're okay with it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, do you want to start?
Now let's start with you this time.
Okay, I have four things I could discuss, and
Sure.
what excites me. So um, I got this theory, and I got it from Julian, the Julian Host I follow, like I mentioned a couple of times, and he has this inner circle group, and Julian said something really interesting, which got me thinking. So um, you are in crypto right now for 9 months or so, right?
Yeah.
And you heard about the 4-year cycle theory, right?
Yeah, you mean related to the happening, right?
Yeah. So that basically crypto peaks and bursts, so bubble stuff in 4-year cycles. Um, and it could be related to the halving cycle. So the halving cycle is basically fixed in quotes every 4 years. It's not exactly 4 years. It's based on the block size and stuff, the, the 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 difficulty and stuff like this, but roughly 4 years. So the theory is that this boom and bust cycles are also in 4-year cycles. But Julian brought up some really good arguments for why this whole 4-year boom and bust cycle makes not that much sense. And I could explain it a little bit more in 1 or 2 minutes if you would like to. But the TLDR is maybe there are no 4-year cycles. Do you want a little bit more, or do you think we should talk about it at a different time?
No, no, let's talk about it because I tend to agree with Julian on this angle. I think as well
Mm,
that yeah, the 4-year thing is just over, basically. We
yeah,
have too much other assets going on, and Bitcoin isn't everything anymore.
yeah, I agree. And even to expand on what you just said, you you said the 4 cycles are no more, and his argument is that they were basically never there because I could go into a bit detail. So um, the first Bitcoin boom was back in 2011, and the next was in 2013. So this is not 3 years, right? And
Yeah,
in 2013, it collapsed due to Mount Gox. And imagine there was no Mount Gox. Would it had it uh, had it burst? Not sure. This was basically the catalyst. So the first one was Mount Gox, and then 4 years later, this was the next hype cycle. This was 2017, and this was due to the ICOs because everyone said, okay, ICOs are the new funding mechanism. Let's reinvent the world. We do ICOs, and it was super overhyped. So then, yeah, 2017 peak was during the ICO because of the ICOs. So the first one was in 2011. It was speculation. The next one was 2 years later, and then it bursted due to Mt. Gox. The next one was 4 years later, but it was yeah the only 4 year span, and this was due to ICOs. And then there was another top in 2019, and now we most likely have one in 2021. So if you take a really close look at it, there was just one time in the last 13 years where the 4 year theory was on point, and the other things were most likely due to external factors, let's say Mount Gox or ICOs. And this gets me thinking because I'm thinking. what could be the next catalyst, what is good in the short term, but bad in the, let's say, midterm. So short term, I mean, for example, a Bitcoin spot ETF, obviously, and this could be good for next 3 months, but really bad for the next 2 years. So yeah, I start thinking about more and more about let's just chill, let's just relax, let's just let the market top whenever he wants to, maybe at the end of this year, maybe at the middle of next year, but there are no fixed cycles, and one day there will be this super good catalyst. The super good catalyst will be good for us in the short term, but in the medium term it will hurt us real bad. And this is where the time where I need to be uh, reflective and say, okay, boys, it's time to pack our bags. This could be the next catalyst for the next boom and bust. And yeah, those are some thoughts in my mind, which are pretty exciting to me. And yeah, what what do you think about this about the theory?
Yeah, I think it makes sense what he said. I think people try to read too much into patterns and try to make sense of it. And like a 4 year cycle makes sense because you can tie it to the halving. So yeah, I just think in general the whole market structure has changed so much compared to 2011 and even 2013. The
Mm,
markets are almost not comparable in a way. And also like if you see for instance the correlation between Bitcoin and SP 500, it has also increased a lot compared to what it used to be.
mm,
So I think actually the biggest factor for a boom market is just money printing. I think it's just like
mm,
inflation. So yeah, I think it's interesting. And when you mentioned that he also thought of 2021 as a bear market, I
mm.
take it he means the one that the crash in May, right? And not
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
thing that is happening right now that it may turn
No,
into that. Okay, okay, that's relief.
exactly.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. So Julian is super bullish, and he's uh, he's in crypto right now for about 8 years, so he's a little bit more relaxed, and he's he right now talks about the difference between a crash and a dip, and he sees it's a dip right now, and he's relaxed. So if we take a look at the options right now, which are getting traded, the most of the volume for the options is between 80 and 120K till the end of this year. There are some options which are obviously traded around 30K or 40K, but it's super low. But the majority is traded about 80 to 130K. I don't know how to get there, but it's interesting that the huge options trading volume is around this area. Just to give
yeah,
you one data point.
yeah. I've also seen for the Ethereum call options that like I don't know 15K or something really high for me. That is like a very common spot to buy for the end
Mm.
of the year. So I mean, I hope that they
Man,
will
this
reach
would be
this.
so awesome.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I can't see it happening because before we know it is
No.
already end of year. Like it's like 40
Yeah,
days.
exactly.
So, but yeah, we'll
Exactly.
see. Either we're
I
gonna get
don't
some
know
really
how.
crazy days or some really disappointing end of the year.
Yeah,
Um, one little
agree.
thing that I did think of, and I read like a tweet from Sisyphus, and it kind of makes sense. And he said like when you have a huge down day, like this happened at I think the beginning of this week or whatever.
Mm,
Um, yeah, a lot of people they are like I'm gonna buy the dip or I'm gonna just hodl and you know I'll be fine long term. And of course that's true, but he said it would actually be better to as soon as you see like a significant dip to liquidate everything into stables because of the way that people are over leveraged in crypto that when you see
mm.
dip it usually goes further and further because of the what's the term again when you know the
Cascading effect or what?
yeah like the margin calls like people
Yeah,
get yeah I forgot the term.
liquidated.
Yeah, exactly. So this happens and then it becomes worse and worse and worse like a snowball. So maybe it would be actually better to get back to stables at the side of the first dip and then let the rest of the dip take it effect and
Mm,
then try to enter back in somehow.
mm. I think that's super dangerous
Hmm.
because there are those things like bear traps and stuff like this, and then you sit in your USDC and wait
Yeah.
for the further dip, and then you see the rally continue. So I think from a theoretical point of view, obviously it makes sense to go into stable
Hmm.
if you think the market gives more. But from a practical point of view and from a mental burden, I wouldn't do it. Are you considering doing it?
Well, I mean, not now, but I can't remember any big dip in recent memory where it didn't continue into a bigger dip. Like, yeah, maybe because I'm too new in crypto, but yeah, I don't remember like a huge one-day dip that is big enough that my boss calls me from, hey, hey, the market crashed, your Bitcoin crashed, what's happening?
Mm,
So when I get like a normie signal like this,
mm.
maybe I should just liquidate back to USDC for a little bit and
Ah,
let it crash further. But yeah, it can be risky, of course, and you
mm,
can get zigzagged out of it, out of your
mm.
position.
Yeah, that's also really dangerous because um, I got over the last couple of years quite a lot of phone calls from my friends who ask me, "Hey Patrick, what is going on there?" And they usually call you when it's already down like 30%. So there was this Up Only episode a couple of months ago where Kobe said basically, Kobe and CryptoPath, you know them both, right?
Yeah.
So they seem to be quite good friends, and Kobe basically asked CryptoPath, "Is now time to panic?" And CryptoPath said, "It's too late to panic." So he basically asked him, "Is now a good time to sell?" And he said, "No, man. You either panic immediately or you don't panic at all." And yeah, just some food for thought there. I think timing the market and speculating on the next liquidation, it's super tough game. Super tough.
Yeah, you're probably right, Patrick.
Yeah. But maybe you can ask Sisyphus as a follow-up question, how how does he judge if it's now a good point to liquidate it, or
Hmm.
if there is no further dip? Yeah, maybe some follow-up questions.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
Um, on
Any
that
other
note, I
que-
have a
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry. I was just wanted to ask you a follow-up question
Sure.
because on that note, over the last couple of weeks and months, I noticed that quite a few of my friends got into crypto, more interested, and I would like to ask you two questions in regards to crypto because you're in crypto right now for a little bit longer than let's say 1 to 2 months, but you're not in crypto for a couple of years, so you don't went through a bear market and you don't experience the multi-year down, but you went through the last let's say mini bear for from May to October. And my question is basically, um, how do you handle your emotions and thoughts during a time where you see your portfolio go down and value, and you might feel helpless because you can't do anything to make the price go up? How do you handle your emotions and thoughts?
Um, yeah, that's a tricky question to be honest. I remember last time, at the last crash, I was sitting in a lot of DeFi coins and stuff like that, you know. So
Mm,
they went down a lot. Um, and at that time, I started reading more articles on, the underperformance of DeFi tokens compared to just holding ETH, for instance.
mm,
So I remember like a couple of days into the crash. So, even when you wouldn't recommend me to do it. I remember swapping out a lot of my DeFi tokens into just ETH. And
mm,
in the end, it was a plus V thing because the DeFi tokens they crashed a lot more more than ETH.
mm,
So this is one way how I handled it. Another way is that I also started yield farming a little bit more around that time. So that time I was yield farming with a bigger position of my portfolio as USDC as the base, Whereas right now I'm not using any stable coins as a base of yield farming. I just yield farm with like risky tokens to get even more return out of them. So for me, it was a little bit easier to handle because I had a lot of, I had pretty decent allocation in stablecoins, and I was still getting some income every day. You could still see
mm,
that the crypto is still bringing in money every day from yield.
Interesting.
So that made it psychologically easier. And another thing for me is that like I have a Bitcoin allocation. For me, that is like I never touch it. So you know, like yeah, basically it's like your retirement or something, or yeah, basically your special fund. So I don't touch it, and it's a pain in the ass to even touch it if I wanted to. So for me,
Mm.
it's very easy to get big losses on my Bitcoin because I'm too lazy to touch it anyway, you know. So that makes it very easy to handle that part for me. But in general, I'm not too emotionally affected by yeah by down markets for some reason. Yeah, I think the only one that yeah did hurt a little bit was the stock market crash of last year. That one really
The
hurt. But
COVID
even
one.
then, yeah, like the beginning of COVID, yeah, the COVID one, yeah, that one, yeah,
Mm.
like I mentioned before, I had short put positions and I lost a lot. But
Mm.
even that one, like yeah, I don't know, man. Numbers don't they don't hurt me too much.
Mm. It's really interesting. Can you do you think there is some way to learn that numbers don't affect someone that much? If you were to teach someone uh, this this skill, this mindset?
Um, I'm not sure. I think I'm just a psychopath that numbers don't influence me that much or something. Yeah, yeah. I think it's
Mm.
just if you have a natural like I'm naturally relatively like a cold or apathetic to things. So this is
Mm.
why things don't they don't influence me that much. Of course, some
Mm.
do, but in general, I would say these
Mm.
kind of things they don't impact me that much.
Mm.
I don't think you can teach it, to be honest. And
Mm.
I do notice that um, it has been like hurting a little bit more the more I am spending time with crypto and watching
Mm.
CoinGecko, etc. So it,
Really good point. Really
my
good point.
sensitivity is actually increasing rather than decreasing, unfortunately.
Mm.
But yeah, in general, I don't lose sleep over it whatsoever. So yeah.
Mm.
And
Mm.
what about you?
How I handle my emotions and thoughts about this?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's sometimes really challenging for me, even though I'm in crypto for a couple of years and I've seen it all basically, and I've seen the scams, I've seen the FUD, I've seen the FOMO, and I've been through multi-year bear market, and sometimes I can handle it quite well, and sometimes I struggle a lot, and there are some things I I'm a really reflective person, so I reflect on my emotions quite often and my life, and over the last couple of weeks, I felt a little bit uneasy about the development of crypto, and I started noticing I don't like my feelings around this, and I reflected on it, and I boiled it down to three things I will try to change right now, and I also started changing it because I don't want to have this mental downside from crypto. I want to be in crypto for the next 75 years, and I don't want to have this mental downside. I just want to have the neutral one or the upside. So I do three things right now. First of all, I take care of myself that I sleep at least half 8.5, sorry, 8.5 hours each day, because if I don't sleep that much, I think my hormones are out of balance and I tend to be a little bit less optimistic. So I need to sleep enough to have the hormone level to be optimistic. That's the first one. The second one is that I try to avoid prices wherever I can. Sometimes during bull markets, you open crypto or CoinGecko up every half hour because you want to see the prices go up. This leads to a really unhealthy behavior. So right now, I try to check the crypto prices um, 0 times a day. Over the last couple of weeks, I checked them 3 times a day in the morning, right before bed, and one day in the at the midtime. So now, right now, I try to take a step back from prices just to get a little bit less addictive. And the third part is it got out of a random conversation we had in our office. Um, I meditated quite a lot over the last couple of months when we had the last bear market, and it felt so good, Mark. It felt so good. You get you get a clear mind, you get at ease, you 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 see the long picture, you see the things that are much more important than just your crypto wealth. So I started meditating 2 times a day. The first one is 10 minutes in the morning, and the last one is 5 minutes at evening. And so those are basically my three things I will do right now to be prepared for whatever there will come, so a bear market or the ongo of the bull market. And yeah, just some things around this. Was this some kind of understandable, or was this too gibberish?
No, no, this is very, very interesting. Like, you have so many healthy habits, man. Like, you do the meditation, you do the foam roller, and all the other things that you do. Yeah, it's very interesting. The one thing that did, I noticed that you mentioned you watch CoinGecko right before going to bed. I mean,
Yeah,
that would be like the worst worst thing you can do. Man. Like,
yeah,
I would try to put it a little bit earlier in your evening, I guess. But yeah.
yeah,
But for the rest, yeah, very interesting that you say that. Meditation helps you in a bear
yeah,
market.
yeah. Really, it's um, I think it could be really tough for the new guys and girls out there who are know crypto, who basically invested a small five-digit amount in crypto, and they invested at about 60K or 65, and now they see it tumble to 57, whatever we are at right now, and maybe it tumbled even more to 40, to 42, to 38, and then you sit there and it's a really huge amount of money for you, and you get really scared. And I think it's good to reflect on why you're in crypto, how long you want to be into crypto, and if the habit that you are doing right now is a healthy habit that you could sustain for a longer period of time. And if you're just in crypto for making a quick buck and getting in and out of it within a year, I think you are eligible for being scared because you have a short time horizon. But whenever you are for the long term in it, just relax, take a step back, let the market do the market thing, and hope that there are no black swans like Tether exploding, or like US is banning it, and so things which are out of your control who can punch crypto real hard in the face.
Yeah, in general, I would say if you're new to crypto, just start with stablecoins and farm some yield. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would be so much better because a I mean, like I said, I had a period where I just farmed yield with stablecoins, and it is so psychologically nice. Like you wake up in the morning, you get free money, you harvest it, and
Mm,
your portfolio goes up by a little bit.
mm.
I'm so happy that like I recommended my boss to to start with stables, and I didn't send him like to a curve try crypto, for instance, where
Mm,
he would get some impermanent loss and also some asset loss. I think it
mm,
would be, yeah, I think it's very much better to start with some safe yield farm and then they
mm,
build on risk from there. Once you are more
mm,
comfortable with crypto.
mm. It's really interesting. Let me ask you a follow-up question on this, if that's okay for you.
Sure.
So, I do notice some patterns when people have quite small amount of money in crypto, let's say 4 digit. They usually try to go the high exposure route because they want to get rich quick.
Yeah.
So they want to make a um, 5K into 500K within the cycle, and they go into, I don't know, Shiba Inu and BTC and all those stuff. And they whenever you talk to, let's say, more experienced crypto people who already made it, they basically a lot of the time have their allocation, which is usually about 30%. This seems to be the sweet spot, 20 to 35% into fiat all the time. Uh, and I'm not quite sure why they do it. Um, they say if the market dips, I can buy back in. They say I can I can get cash flow on my stablecoins. So my question is basically, how do you handle this fiat position slash USDC slash stablecoin? Is basically the fiat position in your portfolio. Do you have a similar allocation to be at ease, or how do you handle it, or are you way overexposed?
Um, well, a way overexposed is subjective, but yeah. So I used to have around 20 to 30% of the portfolio in stablecoins and to yield farm with them. Um, but yeah, like somewhere in between June and September or something, as I got more experience with yield farming, and maybe I also got more greedy. I was
Mm.
like, yeah, the yield farming is nice, but still 20 or 30% per year is not that much compared to what you can get basically. So what I did is I
Crypto
swapped.
people and
Yeah, basically I have the same issue with them, what you mentioned, only in a smaller setting. So I allocated out of crypto into well, I allocated out of USDC into crypto and started yield farming with my crypto instead, just like Taiki does, for instance, right? He
yeah.
yield farms with his Bitcoin and stuff. So I started doing that. But yeah, you do bring up something interesting to me because I never really understand it either. Because on the one hand, I remember like Sam Trabucco from Alameda. He said that it was plus EV to have some cash on the side, to invest
Mm.
in case case there's a dip or whatever. Um, yeah, and for like he has calculated those things, so I'm pretty sure he's taken all these kind of things into consideration, like what else he could be doing with it.
Mm.
And even then, he says it's still plus EV. But at the same time, it makes psychologically no sense to me to have stablecoins when the crypto
Mm.
market as a whole is gonna boom so much. It's gonna go up so many x over time. Why would you have a big part of your portfolio not getting exposure to that? Like
Mm. Yeah,
that
right.
part is for me just is it really better to house all stables and farm with it and then buy dips rather than just hodl from start to end?
Mm.
Yeah, apparently it is true, but yeah, it's tough, man.
Mm. Yeah, I would love to hear his reasoning.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he's managing a fund and he has to manage the risk somehow, and he doesn't want to have a minus 80% here and only a minus 50% because he has such a bigger amount unstable. Because yeah, I'm not quite sure, but from the long-term point of view, right? Why
Hmm.
don't you put it all into ETH and BTC because it's super tough. So name me one coin who outperforms ETH and ETC over the last couple of 2 years. Just name me one.
Um, Axie Infinity.
Okay, I will challenge this and take a look at it later on. uh,
Sure.
um, I'm not sure if it outperformed when you take a look at last 24 years, but I will check it. That's interesting. So from time to time, obviously there are outperformances, no questions asked.
Hmm.
But if you take a look at the longer term, I I think it's super, 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 super tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he has taken into consideration these factors, into the
Mm,
like. I'm pretty sure, he's compared it to, what would I
mm,
get if I, instead of holding cash on the sidelines, I put something in ETH or something in
mm,
BTC or, whatever. So all these things are, I think, already taken into the calculation, and still it was
mm,
plus EV. So
mm,
yeah, it makes unintuitive no sense to me either. But maybe I should indeed
mm,
allocate a little bit more to just stables, and then
mm.
for times like these, I could have, bought at a dip, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. Maybe we are not that educated enough
Hmm.
around how you can get, let's say, 60% on the USDC because um, Bitcoin is appreciating year over year roughly 100% right now, roughly 100%. So if you could get 60% on the stable coins, APY, you already are at this point roughly. And if
Hmm.
you then take into consideration the trading part, where there is obviously a good buy, either you take a look at the Mayer multiple or whatsoever, then you only have the question, when is a good time to get back into stable and not hodl the BTC till the end of time? I think there is some nuance to it.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
if you can get 60% on stables, you can also get 60% on BTC, right? Like I'm getting roughly 60% on my soul, so why
Hmm.
why would I not do that instead of holding it on stables?
Hmm.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Then I have one more question, or maybe on in regards to time. Maybe we talk about things that excite you. What about you? Do you have anything to discuss?
Yeah, sure. I will keep it short. I got some multiple points, but I will skip some of the points. So one thing that I don't fully understand and I don't have a good picture of yet is the borrowing lending protocols on Solana. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know what they are, but they all have different borrowing rates, lending rates, and what do you call it, loan to value ratios. So
Mm-hmm.
often when I'm yield farming, it's very hard for me to figure out like which borrow lending protocol should I use in this? Like which one is the cheapest if you take into consideration all these factors like borrowing rate, lending rate, loan to value, and for instance also on Mango you also have to pay like a fee to to start an account. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to build a script that like makes it into one neat table where I can see all the rates and also all the loan to values compared for each asset on
Mm-hmm.
each protocol, and that allows me to make it easier to decide which protocol to use. So that is one thing that excites me. Um, Another thing that excites me is I came across something. It's called Skiff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's basically Google Documents, but then decentralized. So you connect your wallet, and you host your own Google Documents kind of on
Mm-hmm.
IPFS with your wallet. And for the rest, it works just like Google Documents. So I think this is very, very nice because it's end-to-end encrypted, and you have full control of your own files basically.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, of course, you
And
do have to pay for it, but yeah,
yeah,
that's the cost of being decentralized. So I thought that
yeah.
was pretty interesting.
What are the costs for storing data on there?
To be honest, I haven't checked, but the cost of IPFS are in general very low, right? They are. I think the cost of hosting something on like Filecoin or like I forgot what the other protocol is called, the one that also a lot of NFTs are hosted on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember which one I mean?
Yeah, the Arweave stuff
Yeah, the
and
Arweave and stuff. I think those costs to host them are cheaper than hosting them on AWS or Azure or some cloud platform.
mm,
So I think they're almost
mm,
negligible.
mm. It's really interesting. I'm kind of bullish on this idea and kind of bearish. Um, what do you think? Do you think such an idea could get traction in regards to the competitors? Let's say Google Docs, for example, where you basically have unlimited space and no cost at all. Do you think this might get traction?
Well, you'd say no cost at all, but there's a hidden cost, of course, right, on to using Google Docs. So I wouldn't say there's no cost. Um, I think I understand that people, they won't be likely to use it, but what you see happening is that Google starts banning more and more content and delisting people. Like a lot of YouTube channels get banned or delisted, etc., etc. They are blocking out a lot of information. So as they start doing it more and more, they will also start doing it with your Google Sheets and stuff. Like if your Google Sheets maybe contains a certain words or something, they will just block the
Oh,
file or
that's
whatever.
interesting.
And I think people will slowly, as Google ramps this up, people will slowly get more and more pissed of it, and they will just start hosting it
Mm,
on their own with Skiff, for instance, which is very easy since you don't have to do anything, right?
mm,
It's just another website that's easy to use.
mm,
So yeah, I think Google will make it more appealing and but over time
mm.
because they will be pushing on people's data.
Really interesting. I never thought about this. Hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe, so go ahead, please.
No. So I like maybe I mentioned this before in a podcast, but I have a strong conviction that Google will start censoring or being antagonistic against crypto sooner or later. So
Mm,
like if you use Google Docs for a lot of crypto things right now, I think some point in the future, maybe a couple of years, they will start, delisting your files or censoring it or whatever. So yeah, I think it would be. I mean, it's never going to be super popular like mainstream or not for a long time until it becomes super easy.
mm,
But I think it will become more and more popular over time.
mm. Yeah, really interesting thought, which gets my thought juices going a lot. Because over the last couple of years, there was a time where you weren't allowed to run crypto ads on Google and Facebook, but
Hmm.
there were some times where it was possible and sometimes where it was not possible. So yeah, interesting. Maybe there will be some companies they say we hate crypto, we don't allow it, and they basically yeah kick themselves out of the whole evolution. Maybe there are some other people who think, okay, Google is not doing it, so we should do it. For example, let's take Facebook as a competitor, right?
Hmm.
Because they rebranded their mother company to Meta. So I might think there is a small chance that they will get more decentralized, even though this is totally contradictory, talking about Facebook and
Yeah.
decentralization in one word, in one sentence. But I think from a game theory point of view, this could be a really good opportunity to create a white swan. I'm not quite sure if that's the opposite of a black swan, but I think this could be a catalyst, honestly. Let's
Hmm.
imagine that Facebook says, okay, we rebranded Meta, and now we don't want to launch our own blockchain. We use the Ethereum network. This
Yeah.
would be huge.
Um, I haven't looked too much into it, but I saw some headline coming across where some people from Meta, like some employees, and they mentioned that their intention is actually not to make Meta a closed-end system like Facebook is, but
Wow.
to make it kind of more open, even open source and these
Wow.
kind of things. So
Wow.
I think Facebook may already be heading in that direction because they notice that if they don't, the public opinion will just keep
Mm,
turning against them. And also Twitter, you also see the kind of thing happening. Eh? Like,
yeah.
don't they want to make like some kind of decentralized Twitter, what they're
Twitter's
building
a little
on?
bit different, Mark.
Okay.
Uh, Twitter is a little bit different because there you have Jack Dorsey, and he's the founder, and he basically can do whatever he wants to. And on Facebook, it's a little bit more shareholder driven. Obviously, Mark Zuckerberg has the majority, but yeah, he's a little bit more handcuffed than the ones where the founder leads the company.
Okay.
Um,
I have some insider information that this is not the case. So
hmm,
actually, Jack Dorsey is being handcuffed and controlled by the board, and he doesn't have that much
hmm.
power anymore. So
Okay, interesting. Maybe I'm not educated enough.
this is also why, like, a lot of his actions are completely opposite to how the Twitter platform behaves, in terms of censoring and these kind of things.
Hmm,
So yeah, he's actually not that powerful anymore, and this is also why he wants to decentralize it so that
hmm,
yeah, the board becomes less powerful, basically.
interesting. Yeah, I think it's really good that at least a couple of people try to go the decentralization route, and
Hmm.
let's see who is the first to take it seriously. Honestly, I would be so freaking impressed if Facebook goes this route and does it. I would be really impressed. And maybe they do it not because they want to, because they need to, because otherwise they will be in front of the Congress every second week, and they might be get split up so that they do it from a business point of view. But whatever the reasoning, I think I would be really impressed if they do it. Really impressed.
Yeah, it would be a huge turnaround if they manage to do it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Okay, dokie. Do you have anything else to discuss that excites you, or do we want to transition to our portfolio challenge?
Now let's transition to the portfolio challenge.
Okay, dokie. Do you want me to start? Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure, you can start.
Okay. So the last time I mentioned that. So as a quick reminder, the first week um my strategy to outperform Mark was basically like, yeah, let's trade the weekend and let's wait for a dip and then buy back and cheaper was basically the theory. And from the theory point of view, it worked out, but not from a practical point of view. So for the last week, I reflected on my learnings, and one of the learnings I got was, hey Patrick, just stick to high conviction bets where you have high conviction that they are a good hold, and put a strategy into place where you can let it sit there for at least 1 week. And this was my strategy for the week. And I basically put most of my funds into Solana. And then I diversified it a little bit because I went into yield farms with ETH Solana. and BTC Solana and USDC Solana, and I got some quite nice yield out of it. So from the numbers point of view, to give you a comparison, so the market dumped since last week. So we both took a snapshot yesterday evening. So on the 18th of November at 8 p.m., we took the snapshot, and due to the market dump, my USD value fell from 1,136 fell to 977, so about $150 decline. So this is the US dollar value, but this is just because the market dumped, and I still think we are in a bull market. So by no means I would try to time the market. I put it all into USDC to wait for a dip and buy back and even lower. So from a USD value it fell, but from a Solana value it what's the past form of rise? Rise,
It
rose,
rose.
rose.
It rose.
It rose from 4.8 Solana to 4.96 Solana. So I was able to generate 0.16 Solana. So this is the thing I would like to accomplish with this whole challenge. My challenge is first of all not to beat Mark. That's not the point. I think it's a healthy challenge, but it's just to get some ideas out of the things we do. But my main challenge is to outperform Solana, and I think it's super tough to outperform Solana. And the last week I did it, so I'm proud of doing so. And so my game plan for the next week is to do it even more. And my game plan is that I speculate on a short-term downwards slash sidewards market, but I don't want to trade it. And I think for the next week, I'm okay with having not as much upside exposure. So I basically did the following. I split up my whole portfolio. So I took it all into Solana, so 100% Solana. Then I took half of it, put it into USDC, and now I'm farming USDC Soul Farm with about 65% APY. So if there is a dip, yeah, I end up with more Solana. And if there is no dip and Solana goes up, I'm totally fine with it because I make some money out of the yield farm. But I think the short term is more erred on the side of sideways slash downturn, downwards and not upwards. So I would speculate a little bit on this that my Sol USDC farm will leave me up with even more Sol. So next week I hopefully have even more Sol than I have right now. Could you follow or was this too complex?
No, no, I followed. I followed. So basically, you swapped a bit to Sol to USDC out of your Sol, and then you yield farmed with that. You're gonna yield farm with
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's actually quite a good allocation to have because it makes you pretty flexible, with what happens to the market.
Yeah,
I should have done
exactly.
I should have done that to be honest, but I decided to go a different route. So just a quick recap.
Yeah.
Last week I had $1,067.85. Um, I already made a loss last time, and now I have $995.47. So my dollar value is now more than Patrick's, but I still made a loss in terms of dollars, and I made a gain in terms of Solana. So I went from roughly 4.96 to 5.05. So I gained around zero point 0.9 Solana, 0.09 Solana. Um, and so what I what I did is, well, last week I kept it in the BTC Sol pool on Aldrin, and I think last podcast we were talking about whether I would get the harvest and these kind of things,
Yeah.
and I took a kind of a calculated bet that they would pay out the claims, and they did. So I was able to claim all my
Mm.
RIN and also my marinade, and I swapped them back into BTC, I think, and yeah, so for this week, what I did is I deposited all my assets that I had into Jet and to Port, and then I
Mm.
borrowed Serum on Port, and I borrowed USDC on Jet, and then I put the Serum USDC pair into Atrix, and then I stake that Atrix into the almond yield farm. So right
Mm.
now I'm yield farming on almond, um, but still with my Solana notional, but I borrowed some other assets to be able to do that. And only this morning I plan to harvest my almonds because I think almond is going to zero basically.
Mm. Yeah.
So I wanted to harvest it, and I noticed I made a huge freaking mistake, and that is that
What do you do?
I um, I deposited too much into Jet and import. So I have no Solana yet left to harvest my yield farm,
What?
and I don't have any Solana yet to swap any of my assets out. I have a little bit of like marinade left in my wallet and these kind of things,
Mm.
but I cannot. I'm totally stuck. I tried like
Oh, damn.
swapping on Radium, swapping on Orca, swapping on Jupiter,
Mm.
claiming my Aldrin.
Mm.
I tried removing some of my Solana on Jet, and my gas fees, the gas fees are too high for the Solana I have in my account. So there's
So you
not a
basically
single
have zero
transaction that I
Solana
can
in
do
there.
at the moment. So I
Mm.
totally wrecked myself. Um, so what I thought I could do, yeah, so I thought I'll be smart. I'll just go to the Solana faucet and get a little bit of Solana gas, and try to swap after that. But the Solana you get from the faucet is such a small amount. It's like 0.000000001 or something
Mm.
that it's not enough.
Oh, damn.
So I'm kind of stuck. I'm kind of stuck, Patrick. So
Mm.
what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do is I'm gonna keep claiming the faucet every day. But yeah, I'm not sure if it is gonna be enough because even 5 times 0.0000001 is not enough probably to do one
Uh,
transaction. So I'm totally stuck unless I get some fresh Solana in.
mm. Mm.
Yeah, so this is where I am right now.
Interesting, interesting. Uh, yeah, obviously, I could send you over some, or you can send you over some from your other wallets if you like to. I'm totally fine with it, because it's just $1 or $2 or so total,
Hmm.
right? Uh,
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I don't want to, dox myself, so I don't want to send anything to myself.
mm.
But
What is the minimum
yeah,
withdrawal from FTX?
that's the thing. Like the minimum you can send, I don't know, but I guess you can even send $1. I don't think there's a minimum for what you
On
can send.
Binance, you can do it. You just can send a point one, so at least 0.1 Sol.
Okay, yeah, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should get some SOL to FTX. That's a good point because I thought, to get some I don't have any fiat on FTX right now, so I thought to get fiat it takes a couple of days, so then it's gonna take a while,
Uh,
before I can send it from FTX to my account and then get my stuff out.
mm,
But you're right. What I can do is with my other wallet, I can send it to FTX, and then from FTX I send it to my challenge wallet basically.
mm,
But yeah, this is a stupid mistake, expensive mistake. So I thought
mm,
if I keep like zero point 0.3, if I keep like $2 or $3 or something like this, I thought that would be
mm,
enough. But somehow somehow I don't have enough. I don't have the
mm.
$3 that I thought I had for some reason. So always
It's
keep
really interesting.
keep a little bit of soul in your wallet, even if it's like $10. Maybe $10 just
Yeah,
to be safe, because yeah, I totally screwed
yeah,
myself.
but it happens so quick. You're just going to yield farm, you click max Sol, and then you're basically in there. But I'm wondering because
Hmm.
if you click max Sol, it should not work because you need transaction fees for the transaction to deposit the Sol.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. This is
I have
why.
no idea how you could manage to make this super nuanced gray zone where you hit it that you're basically stuck.
Yeah, I think maybe what happened because I think Jet they even protect you when you try to put in too much. But so I thought I kept like a couple of dollars left in my wallet in terms of Sol. But
Mm.
maybe after that I started doing some more swaps because I had some other crappy coins in my wallet that I
Mm.
wanted to swap. Maybe those swap costs were too high. But yeah, I can't imagine the swap cost being so high that it costs dollars. So for me, it's also a little bit of
Mm.
a mystery because I definitely didn't just max all
Mm.
and then put it in. I definitely paid attention to this. So I don't know what happened, but somehow I ended up with. having no.
Mark, I think I have the solution for you.
What?
Go on symmetry.fi.
Yeah.
Um, do you know that whenever you make a new trade from a new pair, you have to open up a channel on Solana? Do you know this?
You mean on, like a serum channel?
Yeah, you basically have to open up an account. So for our listeners, maybe a quick explainer. So whenever the first time when you make a swap, let's say for example from Solana to USDC,
Mm-hmm.
it it costs you 0.001 in fees because you don't have an account. And the next time uh, you make the swap, you have to pay 0.0000001. So whenever you open up an account to make a swap, you basically open up a channel, and this costs you
Mm-hmm.
$2 to $3,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
you can close those channels to get those Solana back. But the next time you make the trade again, you have to open it up again. So if
Mm.
you have just one channel open, you won't gain much because you need to open up it up again. But if you have 3 to 4 to 5 channels open, you can close every single one of them, get let's say $10 of Solana back, and then you can use this to make one trade where you get more Solana basically. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
can walk you through it after our podcast
yeah, but yeah, for me
via
it
a
doesn't work
video.
now, right? Because I cannot even open up a channel.
They are already
I've
open.
never done a swap on Symmetry, so I don't have any
Uh,
channels.
Symmetry is the one where you're able to close it. Whenever you make a trade anywhere on Solana, you open up this account.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I will guide you through this
Okay, yeah,
after
sure.
our podcast, and
Sure.
maybe the next couple of weeks when we try to make it more visual. So for our listeners out there, we got some feedback that we can we should try to make it more visual appealing. So we try to arrange a webcam, put up our videos on YouTube and stuff like this. So next time or the week after this, we will have a picture of Mark and a video of myself, and let's see, we try to figure it out, but maybe we can go into mini tutorials even then in the
Mm-hmm.
next couple of weeks.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Okay, thanks for the tip, Patrick. I didn't know about the Symmetry. I mean, I know about the
Yeah,
website, but
sure.
not about the functionality.
Yeah, sure. I will help you out after this.
Cool.
Okay, okay. I think that's it from my side. Do you have anything else you would like to discuss?
No, that's it from my side too.
Okay, okay. Then, yeah, guys out there, if you're new to crypto, stay safe. Don't do stupid shit. Don't try to make up for the losses when the market goes down by buying some altcoins and hoping that they go up. Don't do leverage yield farming. Don't do leverage stuff. Just keep cool and yeah, try to learn these emotions when you want to get into crypto over the long term. Just try to take this into perspective, and no one knows where the market goes. If there's a YouTube influencer who tells you the market goes up, he has no fucking clue. If he tells you the market goes down, he has no fucking clue. Just yeah, form your own opinion and have a conviction on it, and everything will be fine, I guess. Yeah, that's my last 2 cents. Do you want to add anything, Mark?
No, I think that's the perfect ending, Patrick.
Okay, guys, then stay safe, take care, and yeah, see you next week.
Yeah, and stay still bullish. Bye bye.
Stay bullish, exactly.